I want to tell you a quick story about the beginning of the Kirby Smart era at Georgia. There was a time when people were worried that he would not come to Georgia because they were not sufficiently committed to winning the way that he wanted to. And so there was a lot of up and down in the 2016 season, a little bit before he got hired. But really, when Kirby came aboard, there was some skepticism about, do we really need to do all this stuff to win in a big way? And the short answer was yes. And they started understanding that at the administrative and leadership levels at Georgia as Kirby took over. That's why when he said this week, I realized the standard, or excuse me, earlier this month, he said, I realized the standard of excellence that's been created here and the expectation. We never shy away from those expectations. That's part of those expectations have been created by Kirby Smart's insistence on particular things at Georgia. I can tell you right now, if you went back in time to say 2011 at Georgia, the program is not at all the same. I realize that's 10 years ago, but the real marking point wasn't a transition at president at Georgia. It wasn't a transition of athletic director at Georgia. It was the demands that Kirby put on the athletic department at the beginning of his time. I'm going to talk to you about that right now. Dean Legge from Dog Post, making you a smarter Georgia fan. And when you look at the 2016 recruiting class and compare it to everything else that Kirby has had since then, the 16 class was really a very good class, but it was after that. It was after Kirby's first full year at Georgia that they realized, yeah, we are going to need to do a lot of these things. And so they did. The indoor practice facility was already on the way. The football reconfiguration that will be in place, I think, this fall, if not a little bit sooner, was after that. Sanford Stadium, I was going to call it rezoning, but the reconfiguration of the locker room and the recruiting lounge, that was really a very good idea. The space was there. They just had to raise the money for it. I think it was about $65 million. All of these things were things that were pushed forward and through by Kirby Smart. And I recall at the beginning of his time at Georgia, he said once or twice something like, why can't we do it? Why not us? And I know for me, I wrote several times, you should not be asking that question. It's not why not us, it should be you. And he's created an atmosphere at Georgia now, 6 years into it. This is his sixth spring at Georgia, where they've consistently been in the top 10, really consistently in the top 5 of college football, and have narrowly missed out on a national championship. So that's what his commitment to excellence has been about: persuasion of, not exclusively Greg McGarity, but everyone at Georgia, including donors. This has been a full blast move. There's another thing I do want to mention about Greg, who is retired now. I want to say that I really feel like had Mark Richt been more forceful about wanting an indoor practice facility, that if Mark had been more forceful about wanting a recruiting lounge and a new locker room, it would have happened. And I think the combination of Kirby Smart's arrival at Georgia and the creation of the McGill Society, those two things happened around the same time. McGill Society before Kirby being hired. Those two things have been rocket fuel for Georgia. The one part that the institution really lacked was fundraising, and they've really addressed that over the last really 7 years or so. And that's something that Greg McGarity should get credit for. But, I remember very specifically, I'm not going to say who it is that said that quote to me about we weren't so sure that they needed to, that we needed to spend this way. But let me put it to you this way. That person is a very visible part of the University of Georgia right now. And but they did have to become what I had always called more serious about winning. And it can't just be the football coach. It has to be everyone. It has to be the president of the school. It has to be everyone. And that's why this so-called standard of excellence, it doesn't just happen overnight, and it has taken some time for Georgia to really settle its feet inside of what it's become. But it is time to take advantage of that too. Kirby went on to say, "We never shy away from expectations, but that's not going to get the end goal. The end goal is to have a net sum of positives. You're trying to consistently move people from over here who might be on the negative side to the positive side and bring more guys along." But the truth is, if you don't have what I'm talking about, a commitment to excellence, and not like the Raiders who just use it as a catchphrase, you really have to commit to winning in a big, big way. And Georgia's really done that these last, I would say, 6 years. They really have pushed forward with a new mentality. Gone are the days of Larry Munson and the negativity surrounding, I'm saying that playfully, but there's still plenty of Georgia fans who are overly negative, and folks need to realize how powerful Georgia is in the national landscape. I mean, when you compare it to places like Florida State, Clemson, Tennessee, those schools don't have the resources Georgia does. And that's what I think you'll see over time. Georgia will catch up and pass, like they have Tennessee, obviously past Tennessee in the last 15, 20 years. That's going to happen a lot more often. But you need competent leadership and really good coaching. They've got both of those things right now in Athens. Let's talk about this more over on the website. Georgia starts practice this week for spring ball. I expect to see you over there, dogpost.com.